Good morning. I'm Aaron Patzer. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vital. Oh, thanks. Today, we are going to introduce a large language model that can safely, securely, in a HIPAA-compliant way, translate any medical note and all of that jargon and all of those obscure abbreviations into something that is safe and easy for patients to understand. Before I get started, I always like to say a little thanks, and my thanks is to this guy. I'm an engineer. I run a health tech company, but honestly, I don't know anything about medicine. He's the doctor. Dr. Schrager is our co-founder, and he's also my brother-in-law. And one of the things that is amazing about having a doctor in the family is you can ask him medical questions, personal medical questions, all the time. An inappropriate number of medical questions. Honestly, like my long-term goal at Vital is just to put that guy's brain and nurses' brains into software so that everybody, even when doctors and nurses aren't around, has what I have on a daily basis. So thank you, Justin. 3 months ago, I had this little cyst on the inside of my lip. We're going to talk a little bit about my personal health here. We're going to divulge a little PHI, but it's mine, so it's okay. And Dr. Schrager, we were out at a restaurant, and he's like, I'll get my scalpel out, and I'll cut that out for you and stitch you up. I kid you not, home surgery. As funny as that may be, one of the things that cracks him up is we got like 12 different AI models at Vital. And a lot of times we have to debug them, and I don't know anything about medicine. So I find myself trying to read medical reports all the time. Cracks him up, because doctors speak an entirely different language. They don't say you've had a stroke, you've had a cerebral infarction. A nosebleed is epistasis. I have no idea what the word dyspnea or dyspnea, I don't even know how to pronounce it. The one that gets me is instead of saying don't eat or drink, in your medical note, they say NPO. It is literally an abbreviation of a Latin phrase. It is literally a foreign language. And that's a problem, because patients can't actually understand what the hell doctors are talking about. Now, this changed in a big way a couple of years ago. The 21st Century Cures Act means you have to release your doctor's notes to everyone, like immediately. And doctors are afraid patients are going to ask too many questions, and they do, and that patients aren't going to understand their medical notes, and they don't. And in fact, 2/3 of all medical notes have zero explanation. Nobody tells you anything about them, and that is exactly what happened to me. So, that lump on my lip, I got somebody who was not my brother-in-law at home to cut it out, who had surgeon in their name. It was legitimate. And they sent it off for a biopsy. This is my medical note. It's got my name and my date of birth on it if you want to see it. It is from the 21st of June is when they cut it out. The report is from July 11th. This is like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Do I have cancer? I don't know. They didn't explain anything. All I see is something that says, these sections show fibrous connective tissue with encathodic paraceratinized stratified squamous epithelium. I mean, come on. This is what we give to patients, and it's kind of a tragedy. And we can do way better. So, we are introducing Vital's Doctor-to-Patient Translator. You can paste any PDF or medical note, and it will get rid of all of the medical jargon. It'll make it into something that you can understand. It is available worldwide, free to anyone, vital.io/translate right now. You can tune out to the rest of the presentation if you need to, and you can use it. I would prefer that. But this is going to be, I feel like I want to do it live. There's a possible AV, like, mess up that I'm gonna do, but we're gonna try it. All right. So vital.io/translate. We're going to upload a note. If you do this on your mobile phone, you can actually take a snapshot of any printout, because hospitals like to give you 15 pages of paper, and do it that way. So we're going to upload a note. This is like literally my files. I'm sort of squinting over here on this other screen. This is that cancer biopsy report. And it's going to extract the text. God, I hope the demo gods work right now. Okay, so this is my medical report with my name. It's in New Zealand. I live in New Zealand. Don't ask. And deuces wild. We're in Vegas. We're going to roll the dice. We're going to hit translate. This is me live right now on a stage in front of a bunch of people. PDFs, images, you can cut and paste text, you can go into MyChart or Cerner's patient portal and put this in there. This is all HIPAA compliant. You'll notice it's got my name and date of birth. That's okay, we are secure. I was the founder of Mint.com. This is a lab report showing a biopsy of a lower lip gland of a 42-year-old male. You know all of my, my details now and age. There is no sign of malignancy, there is no cancer. I still don't know what mucosal means, so I can hover over it, and it'll define any medical terms that it's still got left in it. I can look at a detailed report, and it'll break it down. What did they do? What was the microscopy? What is the report? The biopsy is consistent, no cancer. Great. So let's go back and understand, how is it possible? So I mentioned I'm an engineer by training. I have done all of my companies based on algorithms. The first company that I started when I was in graduate school did genetic algorithms. It was a deterministic algorithm. It was a terrible, terrible business. It went bankrupt. But the algorithm worked, and it worked 100% of the time. It would match DNA strands and gene sequences together, and it did it reliably. When I did Mint, you start to use probability and statistics. This is your classic machine learning. So if we saw a transaction that was called Amazon, well, it's probably the e-commerce giant, but there are other places called Amazon. Restaurants, you could have gone to the Amazon, gone ziplining, whatever it is. It only worked 97% of the time, but it allowed us to deal with the complexity and dirtiness of the real world. This is the trade-off of AI and ML. It's no longer 100%. In 2012, we hit a watershed moment. This is when I think we had true, real AI. Jeff Hinton and his team, they trained a 6-layer neural network to recognize cats. They give it 1 million pictures of cats, and all of a sudden it could recognize a cat that it had never seen before. A decade later, we take all of this for granted. You can go on to your Apple Photos. It'll organize all your photos by who's in them. It'll produce a slideshow of all the times you went to the beach and the times you saw a rainbow, and all of that was possible because of this 6-layer neural network. ChatGPT has, GPT-4 specifically, has a 26-layer neural network. Maybe it be 24. It is 200 billion parameters. If you think of those as neurons, we have 100 trillion neurons in our brains. We are still beating GPT-4, but only by a factor of about 500 to 1,000, which is pretty interesting. What's more interesting than the size of that model, because other people have produced these huge models before, is the way that it works. There's a second AI that is trained for preference. What kind of language do humans like to see? And so the way that generative AI works, this is going to get technical for anybody who's not an engineer, is it'll look at the whole corpus of the internet. It actually looks at any Reddit that gets more than 3 upvotes, which is really scary if you think about it. But it also has all of PubMed, which is a really nice aspect of GPT-4. So if it sees sentences, the patient was given ibuprofen for his pain, or she reduced her pain and inflammation using aspirin. It's going to take those sentences and it's going to say, well, ibuprofen and aspirin are sort of encoded similarly because they're drugs that are used in similar circumstances related to pain or inflammation. Now, in these sentences, bear with me, half the words that I'm using are irrelevant, at least to a machine. All the thes and withs and his and it's really the nouns and certain verbs that really matter. So if you have one of these doctor's reports, like the one that I just showed you, it's 10 pages long, there's maybe 3,000 words. You can think of those as math variables, okay? Well, half those words, or much more of those words, many more, aren't really relevant. So if you have a summary that has the 100 words that are most important, it will match this fancy equation with 3,000 words, 99.9% coverage. If you think about it as a curve or line fitting in multi-dimensional space, we won't go any deeper into that. And that means that summarization with generative AI can be relatively safe. This is something we do all the time. So we compress JPEGs, we compress movies into MPEGs. That's how they fit onto DVDs or Blu-ray discs or over a spotty internet connection. Summarization is safe, relatively speaking. You should not use GPT-4 for diagnosing. You should not use it to extrapolate. But summarization, where the source is much larger than what you're producing, that is something that you can do with safety. So let's take a look at one more example, and then we will get into the safety stats. This is, again, the disaster that is medical notes. 77-year-old M with traumatic R femoral neck fracture, and you're thinking, does this have to do with my neck, the thing that's attached to my head? From a standing fall, NPO at midnight, all these abbreviations, COPD, hemorrhoarthroplasty, what is that? So generative AI has a context window. It sees the word femoral, it sees the word fracture, it sees the word hemorrhoarthroplasty, and it says, you know, I've seen a couple of other phrases used in very similar contexts. Hip fracture, hip surgery are used in almost the exact same context. They're encoded inside of a large language model in the same way. And so when it sees this context, it says hemorrhoarthroplasty, nobody's going to understand that. Let's use the most common term. And then it says a 77-year-old man broke his right hip due to a fall and needs surgery. Much better. So you can use statistics and probability and what are synonyms. The machine is finding synonyms and phrases and even whole paragraphs that are the same or very, very similar. And it says, there's another paragraph that's composed of much simpler language. And that's actually how these large language models work. So, is it safe? Dr. Schrager led a panel of 7 physicians. We tested medical notes from across the country. We have over 100 hospitals. There's over 1 million patients who are using Vital today for patient experience software within the walls of the hospital. Now, we've released this today to the general public for anybody worldwide to use, but is it safe? So we tested a couple thousand imaging reports, CT scans, MRIs, ultrasounds, X-rays, long reports, reports for elderly, reports for children, very, very thorough scoring, and they're 99.4% safe. What the heck about the 0.6%? Everyone always asks, what about that 0.6%? What does it say? Hospitals always ask this, liability and all the rest. So it's about 1 in every 200. I have never seen generative AI make what I would call a negation error. It's never told anybody that you have cancer when you don't, or vice versa. I've never seen it mix up a medication. That gives me a lot of comfort to put this out to the general public. What it typically does, if there's any issue, is you're trying to take a 10-page report, and it might be complex medically, and turn it into 3 or 4 sentences. That's a hard thing to do. Some people can't be summarized in 3 or 4 sentences. The fair comparison is not 99.4% versus 100%. Remember, AI is never going to be 100%. As soon as we left the world of deterministic algorithms, you're never going to be 100%. The real comparison is how well do doctors do? So I'll tell you another personal story. This one's a little sad, so just be warned. My best friend is a woman, Moni, and I spent a lot of time with her family this year. Her 28-year-old sister passed away in January. It was really sad. She was sick for a long time, a decade. She had Crohn's disease. She would often have bowel bleeds. She was in the hospital 3 years ago, bowel bleed. She got out, seemingly recovered, went home, family's overjoyed, she's back home. Medical note, it's typical, 10, 15 pages long. The doctor talked to her, what do you need to do to prevent the bowel bleed? What foods do you need to eat? All of that, great. Page 3, it said, while we were doing CTs and MRIs, we found what could be precancerous tissue in your breast. Nobody followed up, nobody explained it. No doctors found it in subsequent review of notes because doctors are slammed and they get 3 minutes to review 100 pages of notes. She didn't die of Crohn's disease. The real comparison is how well would a human do versus this AI. Okay, that was the sad stories. Sad stories over. We've measured not just safety, but quality on a 5-star rating. It's highly accurate, it's objective, it doesn't miss anything. Or, it's got all the information there, but it's subjective, or it's still got too many medical terms that we don't think people will understand. I think we've done one of the most in-depth jobs to bring safety to generative AI that exists. We're working on a peer-reviewed paper and IRBs, and we're doing all the things that you want to do to make this thing safe. It is still new. I can understand everyone's apprehension. We're doing absolutely everything that we can to make this as safe as humanly possible. And so far, it is, and it's getting better day by day as our engineers and our medical team work on it. I'll skip the architecture because I've gone too technical already, but for anybody who's interested, I'll tell you exactly how it works and does SOAP notes differently than discharge, than progress reports. That's part of the magic that before it even gets to the LLM. And then I'll tell you that this is just the beginning. Today, right now, everybody gets, we call it 5 free credits a day. If you want to, you or your family members or somebody that you're caring for, put their medical notes in there, understand them. This is HIPAA compliant. If you as a clinician want to use this, you can use it. You should probably sign a BA with us, but you won't get into, it is safe to do. It is all encrypted. And that's what's happening next. We're actually going to put this inside EHR, summarize this note, summarize this patient, and make it safe. 7 seconds left, good timing. We are in booth 213. Come see me, come see Dr. Schrager, Felix, our head of data science, who's responsible for a lot of this, after the talk. Thank you so much.